Need some GED advice to help you get unstuck with your GED studying? Then you're going to want to stick around. Hi, this is Parker from Test Prep Champions teaching you how to pass the GED fast. You can get started by clicking subscribe down below. So in this video, what I'm going to do is give you guys a 7-point checklist here. There are 7 reasons why GED test takers get stuck, and this is coming from my experience in helping so many GED test takers pass, and I'm really grateful for all the positive feedback I've been getting on a lot of my videos recently. So let's keep up the good work, champions. You guys are doing amazing here, but I'm going to give you guys, for those who are stuck and haven't passed yet, I've got 7 points here. We're going to go over a 7-point checklist here to help you get unstuck. And now, just a little warning in advance, some of my words in this video might be kind of harsh, but the reason that I'm going to tell you guys the straight truth here is because I want to help you guys pass. That is my goal, to help each and every one of you watching this pass the GED test. And out of respect for you, if I sit here and sugarcoat it and don't tell you what you really need to do to get ahead here and just tell you what you want to hear, then, we can just, might as well just waste our time, and you might as well not even finish the video. All right, so if this sounds kind of harsh, then you know what? Consider it tough love, because I want to see you pass the GED test. So without further ado, let me go over the 7 reasons why people get stuck with their GED studying. And we're going to go down this as a checklist here, and if you fix these problems and you address them, then you're going to move along a lot faster and get your GED done. So number 1 is not studying enough. So this is a big factor. Some GED test takers, they just aren't studying enough. And so I really want you to be honest with yourself about if you're putting enough time into your studying. Are you really putting enough time in to master the material? So a lot of test takers, they hear somebody, maybe it's a friend, or maybe it's a neighbor, or somebody else that they knew, or they saw somebody online on Reddit, or in one of my comments on one of my videos, they hear somebody say, oh, the GED was so easy, I barely studied for it, I just went in and I just passed it, it was so easy, all right? And so you think to yourself, you know what, if it was so easy for them, this should be easy for me too. And as a consequence, you expect it to be easy, and you don't put the work and the effort that's required in. You don't put the time into your studying that you need to pass. And so then, you come on my videos and you ask questions in the comments, hey, why am I stuck? Why am I struggling? And in many cases, you just might not be putting enough time in. So, stop listening and looking at other people who are telling you that the GED is easy, all right? So for them, it was easy. For some people, it's easy. They just whiz right through it, all right? Good for them. I'm happy for them. I'm glad they're passing. But, you're not them. So you don't want to look at them and, think, hey, it's going to be easy for me too, all right? It may be easy for you, and hopefully it is, but maybe it's not. And if you're struggling and you've either failed multiple sections multiple times, or you're failing your practice tests, or you're just not moving ahead as fast as you need to, in many cases, the first issue I would recommend you adjust is the amount of time that you're putting into your studying. Now, I want you to have some kind of work-life balance. I don't want you to be spending every waking minute studying, because if you do that, you're just going to burn out. But at the same time, you need to dedicate sufficient time. So I want you to be honest with yourself. If you're not putting enough time into your studying and you haven't been up until now, then that's the first thing that you address. And until you address that, nothing else on this checklist is going to make much of a difference for you. So that's number 1. The second thing is not putting enough effort into your studying. So time and effort are not always the same thing, right? So you might be sitting there thinking, hey, I am already putting a lot of time into my studying. And if you are, good for you. I'm really happy to hear that. But at the same time, not all studying is created equal. So when some test takers think of studying, they think of having their computer out with 3 or 4 or 5 tabs open on their computer, and they've got multiple YouTube videos playing. They've got Spotify or whatever, they're listening to music. They've got headphones in, or maybe they've also got the TV on. Multiple people in the room, and their phone is going off left and right with all these social media notifications. And so they sit there for an hour or two and with their GED prep book open, and then after the end of the hour or two, they say, wow, I put a lot of time into my studying, but they didn't really put that much effort into your studying. So you got to put the time in, but you also got to put the effort in. And the more effort that you put in, actually, you're going to have to put less time in, right? So 1 hour of intense, high-focused studying is going to give you more progress than sitting there for an hour, but you're checking your social media notifications and you have multiple tabs open and you're not really concentrating. So what I recommend is, understand that the more effort you put into your studying, the faster you're going to get done, all right? The more effort you put into learning material, whatever it is, if it's GED prep material or anything else that you're trying to learn, the more effort that you put in, the more it's going to stick in your brain. All right, so what I'm talking about are things like taking notes. As you watch YouTube videos on my channel and other places, are you taking notes? Are you writing down things that you don't think you'll remember? And then are you reviewing those notes every couple days, at least just reading through them? All right, so that's a way you can put more effort in. And also, when you're watching a video, like a math video, say on my channel or somebody else's, and they're going over a practice problem or an example, do you pause the video and try the question on your own? All right, those are just little things like this, but students who pass make that extra effort. It doesn't necessarily have to be a lot of extra effort. You just got to put in a little bit more effort. Some of you guys are really close. If you just put forth just a little bit more effort, and in some cases just a little bit more time, you guys would pass a lot faster. And if you feel like you are studying a lot, you are putting the time in, and you are putting a lot of effort in, what's the third thing? Well, the third thing might just be studying the wrong things. And this is a common stumbling block a lot of people have, because they're putting a lot of time in and they're putting a lot of effort in, but they're not studying stuff that's going to actually be important on their test. So how do you know if something's going to be important on your test? Well, number one, the first place you should go is your school report, right? So if you take a practice test or a real test and you get your school report and it tells you things that you need to work on, those are the topics that you want to double down in or triple down in or even quadruple down in, all right? Another way you can do it is just go somewhere, take your prep book, whatever your GED prep book is that you're using, open it up and, page through it until you find 3 or 5 things that you don't understand. All right, so some of you guys, what would really help your studying? I'm going to tell you guys the secret right now. So if you haven't been listening, then this might be the time you want to listen. Take some notes down here because, for some of you that have been stuck, this is going to be the magic bullet, the magic strategy, so to speak, that's going to help you guys pass within the next week or the next couple weeks rather than dragging your studying out for months and months and months. So what I want you to do this week is schedule some time. Go on your calendar, actually schedule some time where you can go somewhere quiet, whether it's a room in your house or your apartment or just a library. Go somewhere quiet where you're not going to be disturbed. Maybe put earplugs or noise-canceling headphones in, or if it's a library, it probably won't be that loud there, but go somewhere quiet and turn off your phone or at least silence it. All right, get all your distractions out of the way. Open up a GED prep book and, skim through it till you find maybe 3 to 5 things that you don't understand. All right, and I want you to just sit there for an hour or 2 or 3 hours or 5 hours, however long it takes, and I want you to just wrestle with those topics that you're not understanding until they make sense. Literally just sit there, open up the book, and take your time, read the passages, work on practice problems, and ask yourself, do I understand this as you're reading? And if you don't understand it, then you're going to want to sit there and try to figure it out until you can. I mean, a good test to see if you understand something is, can you explain it to somebody else so that they understand it, or can you answer practice questions on it correctly, consistently? So if you're trying to learn a new math concept, let's say it's adding fractions or something like that, you open up your book, you read a little paragraph about how to do fractions, then you look at some example problems. What you could do is you could take out a piece of paper and write out the steps to the problem in your own words as if you're explaining it to somebody else. Or what you can do is actually teach somebody if you've got a study partner. And I said I said go somewhere quiet where you can study by yourself, but then do it later, do it in the evening, or just do it by yourself. Just pretend like you're teaching somebody else how to do it and talk them through. Pretend you're talking them through, or if you actually have a study partner, then talk them through how you would do it. Okay, and by doing this, what you're going to accomplish is you're going to see if you understand the material or not. All right. Also, do practice problems on it. So test if you're understanding it. If you just do this for a couple hours, find the stuff that you don't understand, get your books out, or it can be on YouTube. Hit up the YouTube videos on my channel or other places on YouTube. Figure out what you don't understand and put a couple hours into them and just wrestle with these topics. Just sit there and grapple with these topics until they make sense to you. And to test if they make sense, like I said, practice problems or see if you can explain them to somebody else so that they understand it. And if you don't have a study partner, just pretend like you're teaching it to somebody else. And if you're in a library where you can't talk out loud, just write it down. Write out what you would be teaching them, all right? But if you can do this, then you understand the material. So literally, it's that simple. Go somewhere quiet, find the stuff that you don't understand, spend a couple hours just wrestling with it, test yourself to see if you understand it by doing practice problems and or explaining it to somebody else and making sure that you can explain it in such a way that it makes sense to them. And if you guys would just do that, every week, maybe a couple times a week if you can, ideally, you're going to pass within a week or two or a couple weeks. I guarantee it, depending on how far along with your studying. If you're close to passing, if you do this, this is going to help you get over that last hump. So, again, number 1, not studying enough. Number 2, not putting enough effort into your studying. All right. And number 3, studying and focusing on the wrong things. All right. And another tip I have with this is if you don't have to necessarily keep going over things over and over again. If you can answer practice problems on it, if you can explain it to somebody else, all right, or if you've just seen it a bunch of times, you don't necessarily have to keep reviewing it over and over again. So really get out of your comfort zone and try to look for stuff that you don't already understand, because there's a famous quote that goes, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. All right, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Meaning here, the stuff that you're hesitant to tackle here, whether it's practice problems or topics that you haven't looked at yet. All right, if you wrestle with those and you sit down and you grapple with them, even though they're hard, all right, as you understand them and as you master them, all right, you're crossing off more boxes of the stuff you need to know for your test, and you're getting closer to passing. So you got to focus on the stuff that you don't know. Don't worry so much about the stuff that you already know. Of course, review it every now and then so that you make sure you got it and you remember it, but at the same time, you got to focus on the stuff that you don't understand and stop reviewing stuff you already know so much. Now, you got to do it occasionally, but don't do it too much. All right, so then number 4 would be your study method. So, if you are putting the time and you're putting the effort and you're focusing on the right things, then the next thing that I would look at is, Are you using effective learning techniques? Are you using effective learning strategies? What, if you're having trouble understanding the material, or if you're having trouble remembering what you've learned, all right, then you might just need new study skills and study strategies. And I don't want to get into too many study strategies in this video, although I've already mentioned a few, practice testing, things like that, or practicing teaching something out loud. I mean, these are stuff that they're not going to add that much extra time to your studying, okay, but they're study techniques that are going to work. And there's a lot more learning techniques and study techniques out there, but just know that if you're not having trouble understanding the material and you're just not remembering what you're learning, then you might just not be using an effective study technique. So that's number 4. So again, number 1, not studying enough. Number 2, not putting enough effort into your studying. Number 3, studying the wrong things. Number 4, you're not using effective learning strategies. And along with number 4, try different things. If you've been studying out of books and you feel like you're slowing down and you're not getting anywhere, then maybe try videos. If you've been using videos over and over again and you feel like you're stuck, then maybe try books, okay? Or maybe it's time to get with a tutor or work in a group or seek out a class, all right? And at the same token, if you are in a class and you feel like you're not progressing and the class isn't working for you, maybe do some work outside of class. You got to try something different. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, it's insanity. That's a quote from Albert Einstein, something like that, all right? So make sure that you're trying different things. And so really, if you want to know if your study methods are working or not, what you want to do is look at the stuff that you've already learned and ask yourself, how did I learn this? What strategies did I use to learn this? And then use more of those strategies. Okay, then look at strategies that aren't working for you. Like some people just don't learn well from books. So if you've been trying to learn from books and it's just not working for you, then stop doing it. Or minimize doing it, all right? Or if you've been watching videos for a while and you're just not getting anywhere, then maybe stop doing it or lower it less. And of course, I don't want you to not watch my videos, but I'm just telling you that you might need to change things up a little bit. And thirdly, just try something different. Try new things. So you want to learn more study methods. Always keep trying to learn more study methods, but look at what's working for you. Look at and do more of it. Look at what's not working. Do less of it, and also try new things. Try new things that are creative, new study methods like maybe flashcards or just something new. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's study techniques and learning techniques out there that you can use. All right, but you just might have to try something different. Okay, and then so number 5 is your test taking skills. So let's say that you're studying the material, you're putting the time in, you're putting the effort in, you're focusing on the right things, and you're using effective learning techniques and strategies, but you're still not passing. Maybe you go into your test and on the real test you get a 144 or something really close to passing, but you didn't pass, all right? The problem might be your test taking skills and your test taking abilities. And this is pretty common, a common stumbling block a lot of GED test takers have, and it's really not your fault, all right? So I mean, if you never done well in school before, probably because you didn't care, you didn't put effort in, which is fine. I mean, people go through different stages of their life. At this stage in your life, you are trying to put the effort in because you want to get your GED test. So let's not worry so much about the past. But my point here is just that, hey, in the past, if you've never been a good test taker, or if you've never really cared or never really tried that hard to develop good test taking skills, you probably don't have them. And like I said, it's not your fault. But now it might be holding you back because you don't have these test taking skills developed. And so one way to get them is by the practice testing, and especially video practice testing. So definitely check out my videos on my channel where I go through a math practice test and a language arts practice test, and I got 2 parts for science practice test. I'll make sure I link to those down below in the description. And as I go through those practice problems, I show you these, I explain test taking strategies and tips like that. So one way to get it is from watching other people that can give you these strategies and can break them down. Another way to do it is just practicing. The more practice you do, it doesn't have to just be practice tests, so the practice test is one of the best ways to do it. All right, get on the official GED testing service website and look at their practice tests, but it can also be things such as just practice problems. Get yourself a good book of practice problems. Just go through those practice problems, right? Just practice them and make sure that you can get those right. And the more you do that, you're going to come up with your own tricks and your own strategies. Just things like the timing. You're going to want to have strategies for timing on the GED test. How do you pace yourself? For example, on the math section or in the essay for the language arts essay when you got to do the writing for your RLA. How are you going to budget your time on that? Because you've got to read the passage, you've got to write your response, and you've got to check your work and check your editing. How are you going to do that? All right. And if you don't have a plan for that, then check out my video on GED essay writing. Okay, I did a big video on that. You can check my link down below. I give you 3 different strategies to get the timing right. Okay, but my point here is that you need these strategies for math, for science. You want to go in with a time budget. You just basic test taking things that I'm not going to get into all of them in this video, although I'll certainly do have other tips in my other videos, and I will be making more videos with tips on this stuff to come. But the point here is that, if you're studying correctly and you're doing good studying and good work and putting your effort in, and you're just getting close but no cigar, so to speak, then there's a good chance it's your test taking skills, especially if you get in there and you feel like you're blanking out on the test, or you just feel like you're lagging behind, you're just not answering questions fast enough, or whatever the reason may be. If your test taking skills aren't up to par and you don't have strategies, you're not able to think strategically because you've never been taught how to do this or you haven't practiced it enough. That's going to be the next thing that I want you to look at here. All right. So now after you get your study skills down and you work on some test taking strategies, and again, little changes can mean a lot here. You don't have to go read 8 books on test taking strategies unless you want to. All right. That would be, I'd almost guarantee you would pass if you do that. But I'm just saying, just learn a couple strategies, or just put a little more time into your studying. Just put a little more effort into your studying. Just find things that you don't understand, maybe even 3 to 5 things. I only recommend finding 3 to 5 things at a time that you don't understand and master those, and then move on to another 3 to 5 things. I mean, you don't have to, you've got to look at the individual puzzle pieces here and correct those, okay? You don't need to look at the whole puzzle so much, all right? You got to look at these individual puzzle pieces, and that's what I'm trying to teach you to do with this checklist here. You got to look at your studying, your time, your effort, your study skills, your test taking skills. Any one of these blocks might be the stumbling point, all right? And so then after that, we've got mindset. And so this one, I really got to clarify what I'm saying here, because people like to misquote me when I talk about mindset and I talk about belief. People like to misquote me. And oftentimes the test takers that misquote me or are cynical or skeptical of this, all right, are the ones who aren't getting results. So the people who are getting the results and the people who are passing, they agree with me on this because they know that this is true. They know that what I'm saying here is factually correct and this is the right way to go about it. And, so I don't want to be misquoted here. So let me make clear what I'm saying here, so your mindset and your thinking positive, all that stuff, all right, that is very, very, very important to passing the test, but I put it at number 6 on your checklist, all right? That doesn't mean it's not important. This is actually one of the most important things on this whole entire checklist, and oftentimes if you've got the right mindset, as long as you put the time and the effort in, it doesn't really matter what study skills you use. Eventually you will hit that target. It doesn't even matter what your test taking skills are a lot of the times. You need that time and your effort and your mindset, all right? So really those are probably the 3 most important things. Now everything else, your test taking skills and strategies and knowing what to focus on, and that stuff is just going to be icing on the cake that'll help you get there faster. But really that's all you need, is you need to put the time in, you need to put the effort in, and you need the right mindset. So what do I mean by mindset? I don't just mean, think positive, all right? That's not all I'm talking about here, although that's part of having the right mindset. What I'm talking about here are things like managing test taking anxiety, managing your confidence, overcoming self-doubt, overcoming emotional ups and downs that are going to happen. In GED studying, things are going to go crazy. I mean, but that's life. Sometimes you're going to take 1 step forward, and then the next day you might open the book and it might feel like you're going 5 steps backwards. That's just life, as you guys know, just as well as I do. Sometimes in life there's ups and downs, and there are going to be ups and downs. This can be a very emotional time for people when they're trying to get their GED. It can be very, very frustrating for people, and so you've got to have that right mindset. You've got to have resilience, and we're all resilient people. You guys are all really resilient people. I'm often amazed at what GED test takers that I talk to are doing. Some of them are juggling multiple jobs, or just a lot of them just grown up in just situations where they faced very, very difficult things. So you guys have to understand, look at what you've already done in your life. Even if your accomplishments or even if things that you've been through, they might not seem so significant to you, but you can still draw on them for strength. What's a tough situation? What's something in your past that was a tough situation that you had to deal with, that you've overcome or that you've lived through or survived? You got to look at these things, your strengths that you have, and you've got to remind yourself that, hey, I am resilient. I've made it here so far, however old you are, you've made it here, all right, successfully, okay? So you've got to draw on this strength, that you've got to draw on that and be resilient with your GED studying, because things are going to go haywire. Some days you're going to have good days, some days you are going to have bad days, all right? And you've just got to keep in mind that when those bad days happen, you've just got to keep in perspective that, it's only temporary. So, some of you maybe going through terrible situations in your lives. I can't even begin to imagine or understand what some of you might be going through. Life is hard, right? People struggle, and you might have a lot of things going on in your life that you're struggling with that I can't even begin to understand, because I'm not you, I'm not in your shoes. So it's easy for me to sit here and just say this, but you really have to remember and keep in perspective that, whatever is happening in your life, if it's bad, okay, time flies, so sooner or later that's going to pass. Every time you have a streak of bad luck, a good stream of good luck is going to follow it. You just have to have that mindset. If there's something bad happens, you've got to look for something good in it. If you can't find something good in it, then just keep in perspective that eventually things will get better. So with your GED studying, if some days you're doing well, you're just killing your practice problems, you're doing well on your practice tests, then maybe you go in and take the real test and you just barely fail it, and you fail it by this much, but you still failed it. It's okay to be discouraged, it's okay to be mad, it's okay to be upset about it, but you eventually you're going to have to put that behind you emotionally and move on and get back at it, and within a day or two. That's a good rule. It's the 24-hour rule. I know that a lot of sports teams do this. When they lose a game, they reflect on it emotionally for 24 hours, then after that win or loss, they're gone. They move on to the next game. That's kind of the mindset that you have to have here. If you have a bad day, you've got to look past it, and you've got to be able to mentally put that on a shelf and move forward to the next thing in your life. All right, so you got to be able to manage these ups and downs. You got to be able to manage your emotions. You've got to be able to think positive. You've got to be resilient here, and you especially have to be able to manage test-taking anxiety, and you especially also have to be able to build confidence in yourself. And what it all comes down to is belief. You've got to believe in yourself, even if you doubt right now. Even if right now you don't feel like you can pass. If you feel like I'm never going to be good at math, all right, you've got to remember that someday you will be better at it. I mean, if you do push-ups every day, what's going to happen? You're going to get better at doing push-ups. If you practice whatever it is, if you practice playing the piano every day, eventually you're going to get good at it. If you want to learn how to play chess and you practice every day, you'll get good at it. But for some reason, when it comes to math, right, people, they just don't think they're going to be better at it. They think sometimes just because today you're not good at math, just because today, you're having trouble with fractions, or just because today you're not learning division well, or things are just not clicking for you yet, that doesn't mean that, by next week or after a couple of days of working on it, that doesn't, maybe you're going to be better at it and you will get better at it. So just because things are hard right now, all right, you have to keep up the mindset that if you persevere and if you keep trying and you keep finding new ways to approach these problems, I mean, sometimes when it comes to math, you just have to take a break. If you're trying to learn something for math or science or language arts or whatever the topic is, and you're just not getting anywhere and you're getting stuck and you're getting frustrated, sometimes you just have to throw the book away and slam the book shut for the night. Go out for a walk, go do something fun, talk on the phone with your friend or a family member, or go see that person in person, do something fun and enjoyable. Sleep on it, come back the next day, and oftentimes things will click. And if it hasn't clicked that day, work on it a little bit more, then slam the book shut and say, you know what, I'm not going to worry about this anymore, and come back the next day. And if you keep doing this, eventually you are going to get it. You will understand it. All right, so that's what I mean by mindset. All of these things like your confidence and overcoming self-doubt and fear, that's what I mean by mindset here. So, again, you have to work hard, you have to put the effort in, but if you don't really believe deep down inside that you can do this, even though things might not be going well right now, then you might as well not even try, all right? I mean, I've heard people say things like, oh, I'm going to fail math, I'm going to fail the GED test, and you know what? You've got to try to change those thought patterns. You've got to try to take control. You've got to kind of grab the steering wheel, so to speak. I mean, you're hearing these, a lot of these thoughts here you're having, okay, because maybe you've never done well at this before, all right? But now you have to if you want to pass the GED. So, when was the last time you just stopped and cheered yourself on? We're so used to self-defeating ourselves. We're so used to sitting here when we're trying to do a math problem or worrying about the GED and telling ourselves in our little heads, oh, I can't do this, I'll never be good enough, I'm a failure, But when was the last time we just stopped and told ourselves, instead of all these positive messages we tell ourselves, I can do this, I can pass. You got to start thinking that way. You got to start encouraging yourself. Be your own cheerleader, so to speak. If you've got positive people in your life that are going to encourage you and cheer you on, I mean, I'm one of them. I would love to see everybody succeed. I want to see you guys all succeed. I love nothing more than waking up and looking at my YouTube comments and seeing, multiple people on there saying that they passed their test. I love seeing that. I want that for you too. So I'm here cheering you guys on to succeed. But if you don't have positive people in your life cheering you on, then you got to cheer yourself on, okay? You don't have to, you can cheer yourself on in your own head and just tell yourself, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And even if you can't do it right now, all right, tell yourself, I can't do this right now, but if I work at it for a couple days or a week, I'll be able to get this. And you got to have that mindset, all right? Telling yourself, I'm going to fail, I can't do this, you're not doing yourself any good. You've got to have the mindset like, even though I'm failing at this today, that doesn't mean I'm a failure, all right? I can succeed no matter what's happened in the past, all right? So that's what I mean by mindset here. And of course, the harder you work, the better your mindset's going to be. In a lot of cases, the more you work, the more you put effort in, and the harder you work, you're going to have more confidence and you're going to have more self-belief, all right? So a lot of times people, they struggle with confidence and struggle with belief because they're not putting a lot of work in. So, you got to put work in, you got to put time in, and as you do that, you're going to say to yourself, you know what, I've been working really hard, and just by the fact that you've been working so hard, all right, it's like you're giving yourself permission to do better and to succeed. Okay, and the reason that I'm spending so much time talking on mindset is because it really is a big deal. A lot of people have stumbling blocks. They have been studying, they have been working hard, they've got good test taking skills and strategies. During practice, they can ace their practice tests. It's no problem for them, but when they go into their test, they just space out, or they just get hit with this massive test taking anxiety and self-doubt, and they just really underperform on their test, not as a result of their knowledge of the material or their effort. It's just for some reason they just have mental blocks and hangups, and I would say that that's a mindset thing. And it all goes back to that you've got to really believe that you can do it, and you've got to have the desire that you can pass. So I'm spending a lot of time talking on mindset because a lot of people misunderstand what I mean. They think when I say you've got to have the mindset and you've got to think positive and you've got to have desire, they think that that means that you don't have to work hard, and that's just not true at all. You have to have both. That's why I put this so far down on the list. But for many people, if you feel like you are working hard and you are studying, you're putting time in, you're putting effort in, you're studying the right things, and you're doing all the right things, you've been at it for a while now, and you have good test taking skills or pretty good test taking strategies as evidence from your performance on practice tests, but you're still just not getting anywhere, then it could be a mental hang up that you've got, and you've just got to talk yourself out of it. You've just got to find ways to boost your own self-esteem and your own self-confidence. It's things that you can do, and there are tips and strategies for this specifically that I'm not going to get into too much in this video. I've already talked about them, but this is a major stumbling block for a lot of people, is having the wrong mindset. And this can really, if you don't have the right mindset and you don't really believe deep down inside, and you don't really have faith that you're going to be able to pass, that you're going to be able to do it, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. You're very unlikely to be able to do it, all right, if you don't believe that you can. So you really have to believe, and that really is not just a cliche. I'm really not just saying this, to give you guys some kind of feel-good woo-woo stuff to get you guys motivated. I'm telling you guys the honest-to-God truth here, right? If you don't believe that you're going to be able to get better at math, or that you can pass math, or that you can pass science, or that you can pass language arts, all right, you're going to, no matter how hard you work, okay, you're probably going to find that you can't do it, all right? So let's say that you've done the 6 things on this list, all right? Or you are doing them. Let's say that you are putting a lot of study time in, you're putting a lot of effort in, you're seeking out help on things that you don't understand, you're trying to get that stuff clarified, and you're using study methods that are effective, and also you've got some good test taking skills or test taking strategies, and your mindset's good, you're positive, you're resilient, you deep down inside you believe that eventually you are going to be able to pass, even though it hasn't happened yet, and you're still not getting over this last hump. Well, then what do? Well, if that's you, number 7, understand the number 7 thing on this checklist is patience, okay? You might just need patience. You might just need to have more patience. Just keep doing what you've been doing, because these 6 things on this list, all right, these 6 things that I've gone down through, all right, these are the common stumbling blocks that people have. Now, there's other things too, like what study materials you're using. I mean, I'm not going to get into them all here, but these are the 6 main stumbling blocks. And so, if you're not studying, if you're not getting the progress that you want with your GED testing, if I was going to sit down with you in person, try to give you a study plan, all right? Now, there's other factors I would look at too, but these are the 6 main things. These 6 things here are what I would want to know about. I'd want to know about how much time are you studying, how hard are you working. I mean, I've just gone through this list multiple times, so I'm not going to repeat it again here, but I'm just saying you got to ask yourself these things, and you just got to be honest with yourself, even if it hurts a little bit, even if it's not what you necessarily want to hear, okay? I mean, you might just need to go back into these fundamentals, pick whichever one of these things on this list, whatever 6 of them is your stumbling block, and fix that and correct that. And if you are doing everything well, or you feel like you are doing everything well, then that number 7 thing is just patience. Have more patience. Just keep doing what you're doing, and just know and have faith that you are going to pass soon. It's only a matter of time. If you are doing everything I'm telling you to do on this list here, it's just going to be a matter of time. I can guarantee you that. You just have to have patience and just keep going and have perseverance. Just keep doing everything right that you're doing on this list, and when you're ready to pass, you are going to pass, all right? And so this is the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching here.